politicians, when they lose an election, they follow a fairly standard script. They will accept the defeat first, then thank the voters, promise to come back stronger and resign with some sort of dignity.
जनता का जो भी फैसला है उसे हम पूरी विनम्रता के साथ स्वीकार करते हैं.
But our Didi does not follow the standard script. On the morning of May 5th, 2026, the day after one of the worst electoral defeats any sitting chief minister has suffered in this whole country, she just very calmly walked up to a stage in Kolkata in her usual white sari and the blue Hawaii chappals and very calmly informed the whole nation of three things. One, she had not in fact lost.
Now also I want to say that we didn't lose the election.
2. She would not, under any circumstances, resign.
যদি কেউ মনে করে যে আমি কি রেজিগনেশন দিতে হবে, no, not that.
And 3. She was now, in her own words, a free bird.
But now I am free bird, so I can go anywhere, I can fight anywhere.
A free bird. I was just sitting there watching this clip on loop and I literally thought, okay, we need to talk about Mamata Banerjee because this is not just one woman who refused to accept a defeat. This is exactly what she has done at every important moment of her political life, and this is the same woman who in 1975 climbed onto JP Narayan's car bonnet and literally danced on it in front of thousands of people to embarrass him. The same woman who took an iron rod to the head at Hazra crossing in 1990 and survived it. The same woman who broke a 34-year-old communist rule in West Bengal all by herself. Defeat was not the word existed in a dictionary. So this video is about a question I genuinely could not stop asking. How did Bengal, a state that made her for 15 years, would not even seriously consider any alternative, finally throw her out by the margin? It did right now. And what does it mean that even now, even after all this, she's sitting inside a small house in Kalighat telling us that she did not really lose? Let me show you. Mamata Banerjee was born in Kalighat in South Kolkata on January 5, 1955 in a Brahmin household. She had 6 brothers and her father was a small-time Congress activist. When she was around 17 years old, her father got really sick and the family could not even afford any proper treatment, so he died. If you really want to understand why she later gave 2.2 crore women 1,500 rupees every single month through Lakshmi Bandar, do not start with the politics. Start with this teenage girl from a poor but a respectable Bengali family watching her father die because they did not have enough money to save him. She put herself through college. First she got a degree in history just like me, and then a master's in Islamic history, and then she did law, and then finally she also did a degree in education. She first worked as a primary school teacher, then a stenographer, and then a sales girl as well. Her family was respected, but they were not financially very comfortable. So she was doing whatever she could to study, earn, and slowly bring her family back up to a good position. 2 objects enter her life at this point that she will never actually put down, and the first thing is a sari. A simple Danya Kali Tant, a handloom cotton sari from Hooghly, which is white in color with a thin pastel border, which cost around 350 rupees per sari, woven by the same cooperative society for more than a decade. The second is the Hawaii chappal, the sleek blue strap classic rubber slippers, the kind every working class Indian has worn at some point of their life. She has worn these chappals in the parliament, in the Supreme Court, at G20 stages, sitting in front of our Prime Minister Modi as well. See, these are not accident. This is the most carefully constructed political costume in Indian public life. This is like a way of saying, hey, I'm just like you, a poor commoner in India. See, in 1975, when Indira Gandhi imposed the Emergency Act, JP Narayan came to Kolkata to speak against it, and 20-year-old Mamata Didi, who was an Indira Gandhi loyalist, a proper Congress supporter, stepped in front of his car. Then, depending on which side of the version you want to believe, climbed onto the bonnet of his car and danced on it to humiliate him. Hold that image, a 20-year-old Bengali girl shutting down a national figure in a public street. That is the origin frame of Mamata Banerjee, a tremendous, courageous woman and almost have no patience for any opponents. So let's start a list. Core belief number 1. The people standing in your way are not the people you sit and debate with, they are the people you stop no matter what. Let's skip to August 16th, 1990. The Communist Left Front has been running the Bengal for 13 years already, and Mamta is the West Bengal Youth Congress president at that time. There's a march at Hazra Crossing, which is just 5 minutes away from the place that she was living. A Communist Party person named Lalu Alam attacks her with a stick. He hit her so hard that her skull was literally fractured. She got 2 blows on her head, and when the third one came, she raised an iron rod and blocked it, and according to her, the third blow could have literally killed her. 2 years later, in December 1992, she walks into the writers' building carrying a deaf-mute girl named Deepali Basak, who was allegedly raped by a Communist Party person. Police beat her, she was dragged out, and she made a vow. I will not enter this building again until I am a Chief Minister, which is, by the way, very similar to what happened to our Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalitha as well.
They tore out some of my hair. They threw chappals at me. That day, I left the assembly in tears, but I was also angry. I made a vow that day. I said, I will never set foot in this assembly again as long as this man continues to be the Chief Minister. And when I do enter this assembly again, I will enter as Chief Minister.
And obviously, she fulfilled her vow. By the late 1990s, she's completely done with the Congress because she thought they were very soft on the Communist Party people. She walked out and on January 1st, 1998, founded her own party. Her symbol was 2 flowers growing out of grass. That was the whole idea. Trinamool Congress, a Congress from the grassroots. So for the next 10 years, she was still seen just as a regional party with just a handful of MPs. And in Bengal, the communism was so powerful, it looked almost impossible to defeat. But what finally defeated them was not some big scandal or national level issue. It was a small car. In fact, the smallest car India has ever produced. You remember this? In 2006, the Buddhadev Bhattacharjee government acquired about 1,000 acres in Singu for the Tata Nano company. Some farmers agreed to give the land and some people did not. And Mamta saw a fight she could win here. She started a 26-day hunger strike that went down to such an extreme that even APJ Abdul Kalam, Manmohan Singh and Gopal Krishna Gandhi all stepped in to convince her to eat the food. Then on March 14th, 2007, in Nandegram, the same government tried to acquire 10,000 acres for an SEEZ, a special economic zone. People obviously protested and the police entered the village. At least 14 villages were shot dead, and after that even more disturbing reports came out, including allegation of mass rape by the Communist Party people. This was the moment the Bengali Bhadralok, the elite community of Bengal, which had been communist for 30 years, finally broke. Mahashweta Devi, Aparna Sen, Tarun Majumdar, they all walked the streets of Kolkata under a slogan she had borrowed from an old Jatra play. Ma, Mati, Manush. This is the moment Mamta becomes Didi, not just like a nickname, but almost like a position of power. May 13, 2011, the result came in and Trinamool won 184 seats. The Communist Party was defeated so badly, and after 34 years, communist rule in Bengal finally ended. Time magazine put Mamta Didi on its 100 most influential people. The Gates Foundation publicly thanked her for Bengal's polio elimination. She refused the official CM bungalow that was given to her, refused to take the salary, refused the pension also, stayed at 30B Harish Chatterjee Street in the same old house with that same white sari and with that same poor man chappal. In 2011, depending on whom you asked, she was the most popular politician in this whole country. But what followed after that, none of us in 2011 would have predicted. This is the biggest paradox of Mamta Didi's Bengal. The same thing that made her powerful also became the same thing that people questioned her later for. And if you do not understand this, you cannot understand Bengal in 2026. She built one of the most ambitious welfare architectures any Indian state has ever tried, maybe after Tamil Nadu. We do have some good policies. Lakshmi Bandar, a direct cash transfer to 2.2 crore women. Kanya Shri, paying girls to stay in school past 18 years, which won her a UN Public Service Award. Saput Sati, over 1 crore bicycles to school children. Swasthya Sati, health cover up to 5 lakh rupees for poor women in rural Bengal. this changed the household economics in large scale, and it is the reason TMC won 29 out of 42 Lok Sabha seats in June 2024, even when she was contesting against Modi. Now we have to look beyond the headline. In 1960 to 61, Bengal's per capita income was 127% of the national average. By 2023-24, it was 84%, below Rajasthan and below Odisha. State debt grew from 1.92 lakh crore in 2011 to a budgeted 6.93 lakh crore in 2024-25. Bengal's share of national GDP fell from 10.5% to 5.6%. After Tata literally ran away from the West Bengal because of all the protests that they had to deal with, they went to Gujarat, where a state CM named Narendra Modi was literally waiting with land. But here Mamata launched an annual investment summit. The MOUs were signed, of course, in front of all the cameras, but the factories never really came to Bengal because they had to continuously deal with the protests that happens. So the deal Bengal voters were getting by the mid-2020s was, we will give you the cash, but you will not get a job. For a long time, this deal kind of worked. Bengali boys and girls left for jobs in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi, NCR, sometimes even to Kerala for construction work. But the cash kept coming to their house. But the cash transfers cannot solve everything. They cannot solve a recruitment scam that locks an entire generation out of the teaching jobs. They cannot solve a strong man, a rowdy gunda in your village. They cannot solve a young woman murdered in a state hospital seminar room. Three things that broke the bond between Bengal and Mamata Banerjee, and the whole India knows all these three. Number one, July 2022. ED arrests Partha Chatterjee, who was the education minister, one of her oldest partners in the party. They raided the apartment of his close associate Arpita Mukherjee at Belgoria. In the first flat, they got 21 crore in cash and 27 crore in the second flat and 6 kilos of gold. Almost 50 crore in uncounted cash, and some of it bundled in envelopes reportedly had the markings of the state education department. The Supreme Court eventually ordered the publication of over 900 illegally appointed candidates from the SLST in a state where every middle class household literally has someone preparing for SSC. The message landed hard on the people. In TMC's Bengal, government jobs are not for winning, they are for buying. Number 2, January 2024, Sandesh Kali. ED officers go to question a local TMC strongman, a gunda, Sheikh Shahjahan, in connection with the ration scam. His men attacked them. 3 officers were badly injured and he was absconded for 55 days. Now the twist is, while Shahjahan was literally absconding, he was still missing. The women of Sandesh Kali started speaking on television. They alleged that Shahjahan and his men, Shibu Hazra and Uttam Sardar, had been sexually assaulting women and grabbing land for years and years on end.
के साथ भी जबरदस्ती उनको उठा के लेके गया, रात भर रखा, सुबह छोड़ दिया जाता था.
And according to them, the local police were not stopping it, but instead they were supporting him.
प्रशासन इनको कोई हेल्प नहीं करते, पुलिस के ऊपर कोई भरोसा नहीं है.
You know what Mamata said in response to this? The BJP and the RSS are using ED and CBI to create unnecessary violence. Number 3, August 9, 2024, RJ Garg Medical College in Kolkata. A 31-year-old female trainee doctor is and murdered in a seminar room after a 36-hour shift.
हम अपने हक लड़के लेंगे. We want justice.
What followed was not any normal protest. It may have been one of the largest spontaneous women-led protests in the independent India.
We will take this to the world and we will get rid of Mamata Banerjee.
Reclaim the night was the motto. On the night before the Independence Day, lakhs of women came out on the streets of Kolkata and the slogan was simple. Awaaz Tolo Nari. Raise your voice, women. And the principal of RJ Garg, Sandeep Ghosh, accused by the family of trying to cover up the crime, and was a man Mamata's government had personally protected. It's very hard to explain how badly RJ Garg incident damaged Mamata Didi's image. Her welfare schemes were built on women. Her image, Didi the protector, was built on women. And here was a young woman, a doctor, killed inside a hospital that she ran with allegations that a state was trying to destroy the evidence. And 18 months later, Bengal women would carry this memory with them to the voting booth, and they're not going to forget it that easily. This is the part that was genuinely hard for me to write because Mamata Banerjee, a woman, a chief minister whose entire politics is built on women, has a long documented record of saying the worst possible things about rape. The Park Street incident in 2012, a woman was literally gang raped after leaving a nightclub, and Mamata Didi said Sajano Gotana, which literally means a staged event to bring bad name to her government. The Kamduni incident in 2013, a college student was literally gang raped and murdered, and the local women were trying to confront Mamata Didi, and she shouted Maoist and literally walked away from there. The Hanskali incident in 2022, a minor girl was allegedly raped and killed by the son of a TMC Panchayat member, and Mamata Banerjee literally had the guts to ask, was she pregnant? Was it a love affair? The girl was literally a minor, a child by the way. And then weeks before the 2026 campaign began, a medical student was gang raped in the Durgapur area, and her quote on camera was, the girl should not be allowed to go outside at night. They have to protect themselves also.
And especially the girl child at night time, they should not be allowed to come out in the outside. They have to protect themselves also.
This is a chief minister who held the home ministry for 15 straight years, who personally controlled the Bengal police force, telling the survivors that it was their fault for being out of their house. To be fair, and this is very important, this is the same woman who carried Deepali Basak on her back into the writers' building in 1992. This is the woman who built the Kanyashri, and this is the woman who built the Lakshmi Bandar. And in India, she is one of the very few women chief ministers of this big scale in the last 25 years. If a male politician had the same life story, he would have already been in every textbook. So hold the truth, but also hold the other truth. So let's make a list. What does this woman actually believe? Number 1, the people who hurt me are everywhere. From Lalu Alam stick in 1990 to the election commission setting with the BJP in 2026, the world is a conspiracy, only fighting saves you. Number 2, I am the people, the sari, the chappal, the small house at 30B Harish Chatterjee Street. These are not just image building tools. These are almost sacred symbols in her politics, and they tell the people Mamata is not above Bengal. Mamata is the Bengal. So to question Mamata becomes in a political language almost like questioning the whole Bengal itself. Number 3, power is for fighting opponents, not for building institutions. From a student day politics in the 1970s to her own constituency in 2026, Mamata has never been someone who easily shares a political space. People who became too powerful around her eventually had to leave. Suvendu Adhikari, Mukul Roy, even Soman Mitra in his time. And the big one exception here was her nephew, Abhishek Baipo. His rise as the next big political leader quietly damaged one of the strongest parts of Mamata's image, that she was not like other dynasty parties in India. Number 4, welfare is dignity. The fatherless girl built a state where 2.2 crore women received a monthly check every single month. And number 5, loyalty over competence. The government she built rewarded those people who stayed loyal to the leader, Partha Chatterjee, Anuprada Mondal, Sheikh Shah Jahan, but not those people who served well for the people. Number 6, never apologize. Park Street, Kamduni, Hanskali, Arjegar, Durgapur. For 13 years, the pattern looked painfully similar. She would first deny everything and then would call it a conspiracy and then would say Bengal is being attacked. That final belief, that refusal to ever admit her own failure, is what finally did the most damage. The last election was almost surgical. Turnout was 92.93%, the highest ever recorded in any Indian state assembly election, by the way. But before voting began, the Election Commission Special Intensive Revision SIR had removed 91 lakh names from the voter list, nearly 12% of the electorate, which was mostly Muslim and migrant people from Bangladesh. Mamata went to Supreme Court calling the whole process opaque and unconstitutional, but the court quietly refused to intervene. And then came the result, a total wipeout. The BJP won around 207 seats and TMC fell to around 80 seats. Out of Mamta's 35 ministers, 22 were defeated. She herself lost in Bapanipur to Suventu Adhikari by over 15,000 votes. And the next morning, she gave one of the most extraordinary press conferences this country has ever seen.
জোর করে দখল করে যদি কেউ মনে করে যে আমি কি রেজিগনেশন দিতে হবে, no, not that. Now also I want to say that we didn't lose the election. Officially they may, through election commission, can defeat us. But morally I am telling you that we won the election. But now I am free bird, so I can go anywhere, I can fight anywhere. So I'll be on the street.
Constitutionally, this is nothing but pure drama. Her assembly term would anyway expire on May 7th. She would cease to be the chief minister whether she resigned or not. It doesn't matter. But it was exactly the same performance she did as the 20-year-old woman who danced onto JP Narayan's car in 1975. Exactly the same as the women who carried Dipali Basets onto Writers' Building. Exactly the same women who did a 26-day hunger strike. She has only one mode. She fights even when there is nothing left to fight for. See, this is what the Mamta Didi of the 1990s could not have really known. That the same instinct that once made her a hero slowly became her weakness. That the belief the whole world is like that you must always keep fighting, that you must never apologize. Because that belief is now backed by 15 years of power and a police force under your own control. It kind of starts looking very different at this point. It starts looking like the same system she once fought against. See, in 1990, she was attacked by a Communist Party member. But now, her own TMC party people are attacking the Bengali people. So what's the difference? On May 6, 2026, 2 days after the result, Chandranath Rath, the personal assistant of Suventu Adhikari, was shot dead. As I record this now, no arrests have been made so far. He is the 4th political worker killed in the last 48 hours. 200 FIRs, 453 arrests made so far. The line that the National Human Rights Commission literally used about the post-poll Bengal violence in 2021 was law of ruler instead of the rule of the law. And that is still being true. It became a government module for Didi. In 2005, she stood in the Lok Sabha and called a Bangladeshi infiltration a disaster.
The infiltration of Bengal, it has become a disaster now.
In 2024, she stood in Kolkata and said that she would offer shelter to people from Bangladesh.
আমি বলতে পারি না, কিন্তু আমি এটুকু বলতে পারি, অসহায় মানুষ যদি বাংলায় দরজা খটখটানি করে আমরা তাদের আশ্রয় নিশ্চয়ই দেব। কেউ যদি রিফিউজি হয়ে যায় তাকে পাশের পার্শ্ববর্তী এলাকা তাকে সম্মান জানাবে।
That particular remark became serious enough for whole Dhaka to formally protest. She built her entire career attacking the left booth capturing. But in April 2026, the Election Commission ordered a full repoll in Falta after TMC workers were caught tampering with the EVMs. They put black tape over the BJP buttons, bubble gum, ink and what not. 60 booths out of 285 in just one constituency. She came to power on Ma, Mati, Manush, Mother, Land and People. Bengal's per capita income in 1960 was 127% of the whole national average. In 2024, it was 84%, below Rajasthan and below Odisha. The factories never really came to Bengal. Her young people boarded trains to Bangalore, to Hyderabad, to Kerala to work as construction workers. That is what you say in a speech, and then that is what you do with your power, with all the police that you have, with EVMs, with borders, with the people who particularly disagree with you. And that is where the difference becomes very clear. Having an ideology is one thing, but living by that ideology when you actually have power is another thing. The Mamta of 1990 imagined one Bengal, but the Mamta of 2026 ended up governing another. She's still inside the small house in Calicut, but the Bengal has moved out of it.